Well, we're live. Feels good to be back with another episode of Tick Podcast. Oh man, listen. Sorry for the show running so late, man. Like my dog just came downstairs so last minute and I had to go to the bathroom. And the crazy thing about it was her out in the back if I had found her leash. But I have no idea what a leash is. These kids are magicians because I've looked everywhere for this big old red leash that goes to like a body harness, and I can't find it anywhere. Crazy right now. So I'm literally sweating, running around the house trying to find this thing so I can get this show started. And I just said, freak it, and went outside and just took the dog without a leash or whatever. Hopefully nobody saw it, nobody complains about it because, you know, neighbors are always complaining about something. Same thing with like security guards if they see you and stuff like that because I live in like this community or whatever. So just funny, man. Just funny situation. But look, the whole team is here. The Trinity is here, man. We got a lot to discuss, a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to touch on. For stopping out, for those of you who are here now, greatly appreciate it. And those who will show up later or will listen to the show on a day where you're just popping in to listen without listening to it live is greatly appreciated. And make sure you check out my last Super Pod Shot, man. I'm working on to see if we can get some of the listeners from Tick Podcast to head over to this live radio show that we're trying to do, where you guys can call in and be participants within the show. I'll even try to do some giveaways, where guys call in and you could possibly win a free copy of, some game that we'll work on when we get to that point. So listen, we got a lot to discuss tonight. I'm going to go ahead and start the show because we're already behind. And hopefully you guys will stick around and hear everything that we have to say. Once again, the Inner Circle, let's begin. Welcome to the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox One. I'm your host, KORXKLL, with B Money 101.
Yo, what's going on, everybody?
And Anchorman V.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight?
And we are the Inner Circle. So listen, man, one of the big things that's been going around lately has been this big thing. I won't say it started with Forza. It's been something that's been going on for some time now. It's been in a lot of games. It started, I guess you could say it really became popularized with Overwatch. I want to say Overwatch. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't really think of anything else. Right? I would say Overwatch is really the ones that kind of, define the way you play games with this loot system, have become all the rage for games nowadays. I'm just finding out that Shadow of War, is it Shadow of War? I think Shadow of War has loot boxes and Assassin's Creed has loot boxes. I'm like, what is going on? Whatever happened to just getting gear in like treasure chests? Am I too old? am I so old that treasure chests no longer exist anymore? Like you're exploring and you find a treasure chest in the middle of somewhere, you don't know what's in it, but you're excited to open it. And when you open it, you get some awesome gear. Like it was worth the find. Like you went through all the hard work to find it. Now it's just like, here's a random item or a random part. Not the part that you want, not the ultimate weapon, I don't know, or sword, something like that, or a piece of armor. No, just a part of a piece of armor or something you already have. And you just keep spinning and rolling the dice until, you hit. Meanwhile, microtransactions, people are buying this stuff outright immediately, especially those who just don't feel like working for getting equipment and working for getting gear. This has become something that's been very concerning to me as of late. I had this discussion on Super Pod Shots about how a lot of people feel like AAA developers shouldn't put microtransactions in their games. And I get it. I completely understand where a lot of people are coming from, but I just don't think gamers understand how much it costs to make games nowadays. And as we get further and further along with technology in graphical power, resolution. The cost of games go up and up and up, and it just costs more to manufacture. And I think in order to offset increasing the price of games from 60 to, let's say, 80 or even 100 at one point, they just put microtransactions in there with the I guess you could say with the hope that if a few million people buy it, that a good couple thousand in microtransactions, and they can make even more money that way to offset some of the cost. I'm flabbergasted that a lot of people are actually, especially devs, are now going with the loot system instead of doing things that matter when it comes to microtransactions or DLC. Why do you guys think this is the new trend?
I don't really think it's well, I guess the loot boxes have been more of a new trend, but this all started with EA. You know what I mean? This started with the MUT packs. This started with the FIFA, packs. Everybody has to have, their favorite players on an ultimate team. And EA really was the ones who kind of struck gold, and everybody's been kind of copycatting it since then. And it's just, when you look at the revenue that they create from all these microtransactions, it's like, why not? Why would they not, continue to do this? We talked about this previously. Like, me and Will, we're old school. Like, I'm not giving you no more money. If I gave you the $60, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna get everything I can get for that $60, but I'm not going out here giving you another $100 in microtransactions just to get some chest armor piece or my favorite player or whatever the case may be. I'll grind and work for it, but I'm not giving you no extra cash just for some silliness. But it's super popular just because people are going out there giving up the extra dollar to get stuff a lot quicker, a lot easier. I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago about this before Forza came out, and it's one of my guys. He's like a big Forza fan. And he said that he doesn't care about paying for microtransactions because, the way his life is set up, he doesn't have that much time to play. So he doesn't have time for the grind. He'd rather just pay for it, get what he needs, and enjoy his time. And then when he's done, he can set it down. So you got to kind of look at it from both sides of the coin, I guess. But for me, these microtransactions are not it.
Mm-hmm. For me personally, I'm honestly trying to think the last time I did something that was a microtransaction. Do we count skin packs and mashup stuff for Minecraft? Because if that's the case, then I've got something back in April, I think. But that was the last time I can remember.
I mean, I think if skins, if it's like skins or outfits and stuff like that, things that don't affect the game.
It's a skin and texture pack. So yeah. So microtransactions, but we're talking about in general, though. We're not just talking about game-altering microtransactions. We're talking about microtransactions in general. And B's right. It definitely did start with EA. EA has been trying to do this whole pack system since Battlefield. They've been like, I remember what was the game? They got close at one point. It was Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare 1. That they introduced the pack system and it actually worked and people were okay with that. And after that, like every game, even Microsoft was doing it, Sony was doing it, everybody was doing this whole pack system all of a sudden. The problem was people were getting pissed because there were different tiers of packs, so different, this one gets you better and better gear, and you can grind for 60 games to get this one pack, or you can pay us $5 and get the pack right now. And it kind of fell out of favor. It wasn't going over too hot. Everyone was kind of looking at it in terms of we'll put up with this, but we don't like it. And it was really Overwatch. That was the one that everyone was like, okay, cool. We're fine with that. We're totally cool with that. We're cool with doing this kind of thing with having these loot boxes. And I think the issue really in terms of from a gamer perspective with loot boxes is not so much that you're getting a bunch of little things all together, as much as it is instead of you getting what you want, if you want to buy it, you get a chance at getting what you want. And it's this different mentality, and a lot of people there's a big problem with it. I think a lot of people are it's a very complex issue because like some games I think are fine with loot boxes. Like I think Overwatch is fine, is clearly. But then they have other games that like, abuse this system, and it kind of stems from the whole what is it? Crate and keys system that's been going on mainly on PC. Mm-hmm. They kind of evolved from there into like, okay, we'll just have the crate and we don't worry about the keys, and because the keys that will piss people off beyond regard. We're going to simplify the system. It's only one type, and here are these packs. And I think with gamers in particular, we don't like it because it is random, and especially it draws the ire of almost the entire gaming community whenever you have game-altering aspects hidden in a loot box, and there's no chance of you getting it outside of the loot box. I think that's what people have a big issue, and so that's kind of where I'm looking at it from right now.
I mean, listen, I watched a video with Angry Joe talking about Star Wars 2, and you know, I can't remember who gave it to me. What is his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember, but when I definitely feed, I will definitely shout you out. So thank you for the link for that. You know, I checked out the Angry Joe video. Something I guess you could say is what's basically literally pissing so many people off is this concept of paying for things easily while you have to purchase upgrades. If you're playing the game and grinding with base level equipment or base level guns for weeks, and guys are picking up like the best equipment and the best guns day one. And you know, you play X amount of times and grind X amount of hours, you know, 5, 6, 10 hours just to get one part, get one piece of a gun. It'll take you 48 hours just to get 2 parts or 3 parts to finish it. And I get that. I get the frustration in that. And it's so funny because it reminds me of like when back in the day with Mass Effect. Oh, pick up Mass Effect, so will get the N7 armor and the gravity gun. Dude, by the time you midway through that game, those weapons and that armor is pointless. You don't even use them most of the time. You know what I'm saying? You know, by the time you get to the end of the game, who's still rocking the N7 armor that you get in the beginning of the game as a bonus? You know what I'm saying? So I get it. We all know digital sales have increased dramatically. I know people want to keep trying to say it's hovering around 20%, but I just can't see it. It's definitely an uptick in digital sales. It's definitely an uptick in microtransactions and DLC. And if you're a gamer, don't be a hypocrite and buy into it. I got Destiny, but I didn't buy any of the DLC. I didn't get any of the passes or anything like that. And I know for a fact that Destiny's whole entire game is built on DLC. You know what I'm saying? Look at it from the perspective of, you know, I would get the DLC depending on if my entire clan gets the DLC. Or we're all going to wait for a package, you know what I'm saying, that's going to come out that has all the DLC included for the same price. Because to me, it's just insane to consistently keep buying the same DLC at the same price, literally buying the same game over and over and over again, like they did in the last game and stuff like that. So for me, boxes at all, you know, it's cool. Of it, you know, you don't know what you're going to get in the box. It's kind of like when you get an orb in Destiny, type of gun you're going to get. You know, you just know it's a legendary, and you unlock it, and it's just some random, you know, legendary, depending on what planet you're from, actually. But most of the time, you get a random weapon or a random item, and you know, hopefully, it's the one that you want, or hopefully, it's the right level, and it's a little exciting and stuff like that, the mystery of it. But if you're not getting legendary equipment, or if you're not getting high level equipment, you're just getting small pieces of base equipment and stuff like that, things that really don't have impact to you, I don't know if that's cool, and I think that's what's really pissing so many people off.
Yeah, that's more just like when you make it something like a piece of something.
It's definitely tough. It's definitely tough for the developers. I hope that gamers. What do you mean?
The issue I think is just really when
you there?
You limit something. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. What I was saying earlier was just one of the issues that you come into is whenever you split things up into pieces. I think the way Battlefield does it is just horrendous. Where they say, "Oh, well, if you want to see this particular trench knife, you got to get all 4 pieces in a random box." Every time you level up, and it's like, come on, man! Like, why you gotta split it up like that? If you're already gonna make it a chance, like, just make it a rare chance or something. I don't know. Just don't make it into pieces. That makes it worse.
Right.
I think that's one of the bigger issues. And so, I mean, this is also something we haven't really talked about, is that every generation, as long as I can remember, the price of games has gone up. Ever since like the 5th generation, it has gone up every single time. And because I remember, what was it? PlayStation 2? No, PlayStation 2 was like $40 to get a game, and then they got jumped up to $50. No. Was it before that? It was PlayStation 1 was $40.
Yeah, PlayStation 1 was 40 games.
No, not even
$40.
I think it was $39.
Yeah.
It was $39.99 for PS1 games.
Yep, and then it jumped up to $50 at the PS2, and then it jumped up to in the 7th gen. It jumped up to $60, and we're in the 8th gen, and it has not increased.
Well, I tell you this: Nintendo has always been ahead of schedule. It used to be like $69.99 for a cartridge, bro. I remember seeing Star Fox for like $80 one time in the store. Let alone something like a game with a rumble pack in it. Was like astronomically high. Like N64 games and Super Nintendo games were always, for some apparent reason, way more expensive than PlayStation or, whatever was at the time, Dreamcast, I guess you can say, which were competing consoles at the end life cycle of the N64. Remember, I don't know. I just don't ever remember. Maybe because at the time PlayStation was out, I was a teenager, so I wasn't buying games like that. I was young. I was like 14, 15. It was like, no, that's 95. Yeah, like 95, 96. I was about 15 years old. So I wasn't buying games like that. 16, 17. I got my first job. About 17, 18, actually working, not like a summer job when you're a kid. You get like a little 15-year-old pass, you're getting your first job, one of those type of things, but like an actual job, probably about 18 years old when I finally got a real job and was actually bringing my own money I could hold and keep myself and buy the things I want. At that point, man, 99. That's how I've always seen it. And then they jumped to 60. And when they hit 60, man, I was blown away. I just thought it was a ripoff. I said to I would not. I said I refused. I refused to buy any game that's $60 until every game was $60. So
see, that's the thing,
man,
though. We as the market, we have spoken up against this stuff, where we have said we are not buying games for more than $60. We have said this repeatedly, and so the market is trying to find a way to get around that. And so microtransactions is the way they're going to try to make up some of that cost. And yeah, you're going to have people like us who don't buy it, who don't get involved. On the rare occasion something does show up, but this is one of those things where we're not talking just regular DLC. We're talking about just microtransaction, little tit for tat, spent here, throw me $2, that kind of thing. And this is just a way where now, on one end of the spectrum here, you had Evolve, which had, what was the thing? Someone remind me, it was like 200 pieces of microtransactions like in the first month.
That's crazy.
It was something crazy. Like, it was ridiculous.
Like you had to buy
skins for every character.
Yeah.
No, all the characters were in the game, but it was like every skin for everything, multiple stuff. It was on loads and loads of just crap, and it was way too much, and people reacted to that saying, "We don't want to see that. That's crazy. That's BS. We don't want it. We're not going to pay for that." And so loot box is a way to get around that. So now it's a repeatable source of income you can have. It's like, oh well, you even to spend $10 to get this one thing. Well, looks like you didn't get it in the random roll, so you can either grind some more, or you can give us some more money. And then, because here's or use Overwatch again as an example here. Overwatch, which is just totally fleecing people right now. What they do is they throw out there, say, "Hey, Halloween event's coming out on the 10th. Don't you guys want to look real nice in that Cthulhu Zenyatta mask? Don't you want to have that really cool looking stuff right there?" It's like, oh well. We'll let you buy it for 3,000 gold, but the only way to get gold is in a loot box.
Wow.
So I mean, if you can either grind all you want, and you got limited time to do it, or you can buy some of these loot boxes, these special event loot boxes. You can either grind it that way and get that possibility for the skin. In worst case scenario, you don't get it. But you got these other nice ones, but you didn't get what you want. Or you can wait all the way to next year to try and get it again. So
it's definitely like you said, it's definitely a way for devs to get around charging more money for games, because clearly if devs start to complain and publishers start to complain, there will be a worldwide change. And I don't think any gamer wants that. We already spent enough on, Xbox Live and PSN and whatever Nintendo has. And we already pay for, the games up front. You already have an internet bill on top of that if you're an adult. Us to pay more for games. Could you imagine? I think bad and paying $80 for it, and the game was bad. Do you understand how that would affect so many reviews? Like, people don't put. A lot of times they're not supposed to put the price of what a game is into the factor of a review. Let you pay almost $100 for a game and see change. Just see how those change real quick. Well, man, this game is definitely not worth $80. You should wait till it hits bargain bin prices. Shadow of War gets a 6 out of 10. A 5 out of 4 out of 10 because it's not worth the price of admission. One of those type of things. That's exactly what would happen.
That's why I do my reviews.
Man, it's definitely tough. It's no matter which way you go. I just think that it is definitely a tough situation, both for the gamer and both for the dev. But you on the price of the game?
Yeah, I do. That's what I do.
You base your reviews on the price of the game maker?
I do. My review scores are the price.
Gotcha.
What I do is I say, okay, let's play. I'll just throw out an example. Let's say Skyrim. Skyrim comes out. I play it. I look at it and say, okay, here's what I think the game's worth. Here's how much I think you should pay for it. And because it's one of those things too. Like I can't tell you how many times like the how much I paid for a game does influence your perspective on it. Like, here's an example: Fallout New Vegas. I paid $15 for it. Is probably one of my favorite games of all time. I paid $15 for it, and I'm like, yeah. Like the cost of admission was low, but the fun was high. Like when you go to the fair or the carnival or the amusement park, and you got that one ride that costs like 10 tickets to get in, and it's only a minute long, or you got to wait an hour or two to get on the show or get on the ride, or you can find this nice little ride, not a long wait. It only costs 2 tickets. Hey, you feel a lot better for it. Ride a couple times. You feel nice about it. Like the barrier of entry is lower, but the enjoyment is just as high.
I don't know, man. I agree with you, especially when I pick up like indie games that I don't want to get out the gate, but I wind up picking them for cheap. Like for me, Titanfall to $60 after playing the campaign. You know, after playing the campaign, I went to 60. But getting it at 25 was so much better. I don't disagree with that at all.
Like when those games hit games with gold, I think it goes into your like a subconscious thing. Like you're thinking about it in the background. You're like, okay, is this really worth as much as I paid for it? Like, okay, here's another example in the opposite. The Order 1886. When they were charging $60 for the Order 1886, people were coming out like, this is not that good. I don't like this. Is this $60 worth it? No, and everyone gave it bad reviews. But I played Order 1886. I paid $8 for it. And I was like, yeah, this is great. My favorite game on PlayStation. I paid $8 for it, and that affected my outcome. And all the Xbox guys who are going to play over on PlayStation for a little bit, and they play Order 1886, were like, yeah, this is good, because they didn't have to pay $60.
Right. I don't know. I don't think I was looking at the Order 1886 in the 5-star. That joint was $5.49. I kept saying to myself, I know they can get this at $3. No. I'm like, they can get this at $3. They can get this at $3. I'll pick it up.
I told them originally I'll pick it up when it was 1886.
Well, I'm sure you got it cheaper than that now. So, and you enjoyed the game.
$8. Yeah, I did.
So that's what's up, man. That's what's up. Listen, there's clearly with Capcom. I want to touch on Capcom for a minute because this company, man, just when you think they're right in the ship south, I don't know if it's a byproduct of the Marvel movies. You know what I'm saying? Because of everything that's happening between Universal, Fox, and Sony. But Marvel vs. Capcom has bombed. It has so poorly. It is like it's basically at the bottom basement, especially on PlayStation, which you would think because of it being Japanese fighting title. And I'm not saying that Marvel vs. Capcom doesn't appeal to the Xbox crowd or the Western side of the gaming culture. Just saying that for the most part, Marvel vs. Capcom would really appeal to that crowd. And this thing is doing poorly. Comes out in September and is just not knocking out of the park. And a lot of people feel like it's not only due to the game itself, but you're just missing certain characters that are part of the X-Men. Like a lot of the X-Men aren't in the game. And this is just crazy to me. And I feel like they should bring back like X-Men Children of the Atom too, if that's the case. Because I love that game. I thought X-Men Children of the Atom was an amazing arcade game back in the day. But Marvel vs. Capcom without the X-Men is just mind-boggling. And I think that these movie companies and these publishing companies should really let this slide to make sure that this game gets all of the Marvel universe. I feel so bad that Marvel had sold.
That's not the issue.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
This is a pure Disney issue. First of all, Disney has the full control of all Marvel properties in video games now. Activision lost their rights because it expired, and Disney now has control. And so now they're kind of picking and choosing who gets to do what. They actively said, no X-Men. We don't want you to have the X-Men. I can tell you straight up right now that's exactly what happened. And they're doing it internally too. They get rid of the X-Men all the time. They try to make sure that it doesn't happen. This is a routine thing of this because of Fox. Because Disney doesn't want to give Fox any love, any attention. Because
but that
Fox
goes back to my
X-Men.
point. But that goes back to my point about these movie publishers owning the rights because Marvel went out and sold their franchise, their properties to all these freaking people trying to make money. I swear, if I could just go back in time.
But you can't blame them for it. You can't blame Fox and Universal for holding on to properties. If Marvel was dumb enough to sell them, that's their fault. Yeah, I think they should sell them back, make a ton of money now before they're not worth as much later. But that's what I would do. But
they don't have to sell them. Just get a piece of the profit. Take a percentage.
Yeah, but this is not the issue so much. In this case, this is Disney saying we don't want any. If we can't make money off these characters with everything we have, nobody's going to make money off these characters. So that's basically their mentality. It's scorched earth. It is, if we can't do it, nobody can. So
that's a shame.
But going back to the Marvel vs. Capcom thing, I can tell you straight up, this is what the real issue is: marketing. Marketing for this game is horrible. Like I think I saw one YouTube ad. That was it. I saw no mention of it outside of that one YouTube ad. You would have no idea that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was coming out. They put no effort in the marketing of this game, and that's purely on them for that, because they didn't. People would have freaked out if they knew about it. And then also choosing who they wanted to put out there was dumb. Like, why'd you put Captain Marvel in front? She doesn't have a movie. She doesn't have anything going for her right now. People don't even like her. Like, why would you choose her to be like the front lady for the entire series right now if nobody wants to? Nobody knows who she is.
Right.
It's just a really dumb thing on their end. They chose the least marketable character to be the front man. But not only that, honestly, they should have held off on it. They should have waited till next year when the next Avengers movie's coming out. If they waited till the next Avengers movie, oh my god. People would have been like, oh, I know who Captain Marvel is because she's going to be in the movie sometime. At least as we're told. Like, if they had just waited, the marketing would have done itself. This mentality would have worked, but they didn't, and they wanted the money now, and they threw it out there, and this is the result.
Yeah, I mean, the marketing would have helped with the casual crowd, but this game is dead even in the fighting scene. Like, people aren't playing this game, period. And it has nothing to do with X-Men not being in the game. Like, this game had trouble out of the gate. Their character models were horrible. The art design is not what most people are used to when it comes to Marvel vs. Capcom game. The character selection isn't as large, so people aren't, paying that much attention to it. And then if you look at the fighting scene, there's been some great games out of Japanese culture that a lot of people are interested in. Tekken 7 is like a huge game right now. Every other week or every couple weeks, there's a new tournament for Tekken 7. I think there's one going on this weekend, actually. It's like all over Twitter. Bandai Namco comes out of the gate, hits you with the Dragon Ball Z fighter game. Everybody's talking about that game. You know what I mean? Blaze Blue just announced like a cross game between like some of the Arc System properties. A lot of people are looking forward to that. You know what I mean? There's so many other fighting games, you know what I mean, that have released or are going to be releasing soon that people don't have to give Marvel vs. Capcom that much attention because there's so much more variety now. And since they stumbled out of the gate, people really aren't going to give them that much attention. So it's a couple things jumbled up together, but marketing is not going to be the main reason for this game not selling. Casuals will pick up fighters and play them for a month maybe and set them down. But this game is dead in the fighting scene. So that lets you know that it's a real issue.
I did not like Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, when they finally put it on the Xbox 360, was a godsend to me because I used to play this game in the arcade religiously. I love Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Everything about it, from the wittiness of the characters and all the characters on screen at the same time and the special effects and the way everything popped in, and because it was pixels and not what they're doing now with like this high fidelity graphics, I think that's what ruined the game to me. And then changing the button mapping from like kind of like the old school Street Fighter style with high kick, high punch, low punch, one of those type of things to like everything was done with like one button or two buttons, and then the direction that you went kind of changed things. It made it so casual that I couldn't get into it. So the second, when they came out with Infinite, and I got a chance to play both at E3 and play it in the demo that they had released, the beta that they released earlier in the year, when I got a chance to play it, it felt like they were trying to get back to Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but the character list seemed so small. Even when I seen it at E3, it just seemed so small. And like B said, I just think that what Marvel versus Capcom 2 had, or even Marvel vs. Capcom 3, what those games had as far as rosters are concerned, man, and my team, so my team in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was Spider-Man. I had Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Cyclops as one team. Then Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Iceman as my guys. That was my squad. I was swapping between those 6 characters, or shall I say those 5 characters, because Spider-Man is in both teams. Spider-Man is the man. So, they need to get back to what they had, I think, formula-wise with Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And Disney sit down with Fox, because this franchise is going to die, and it's hurting Capcom. I really feel like if Capcom together, like if Monster Hunter doesn't do well, I think Capcom is done. That's how I feel, because I just feel like just bombs now. Nothing they put out is seen as positive. Nothing they put out seems to be appealing. It doesn't get high ratings, and it's not selling the way it's supposed to sell. And if Monster Hunter comes out and it does not do well, because this is like their first big multi-plat AAA Monster Hunter across all consoles, if this game does not come out, it's going to be a big problem for Capcom long term.
Yeah, I see that.
But something interesting that you mentioned there, Cal. One of the things that you mentioned is that on that entire roster list, you do not have a single Capcom character, and which tells me, and like look at the Injustice series as a perfect example. People played Injustice for the sole factor that it was DC characters. People who were bad explicitly at fighters were playing it because it was DC characters, and the same thing can be said for a Marvel vs. Capcom game, because there's Marvel characters in there. Marvel is the most popular superhero franchise of this generation by far. Like there's no reason for the game not to sell for the sole reason it has Marvel characters in there. Be no reason for it not to sell.
Yeah, it's definitely disappointing. For the game, I hate to see the game fall apart the way it's done. I just don't know where Capcom could go. I'm thinking about all the games that they have.
The highest bidder.
I mean, listen, I don't think anybody's going to buy Capcom. You know what I'm saying? Like, Capcom's a sinking ship. People should be trying to get off of it. I think. I'm definitely putting in bids for certain games, but I just don't know if Capcom is going to get picked up by somebody else, like another company, like like a Square or something like that, that's really been gobbling up these companies that's kind of falling apart. One of these type of things, or like a Sega, something like that picks up Capcom. I don't know if they'll get picked up by anybody if they fall apart or they go on sale, but they really need to just get back to what they used to do. Just bring out a new Mega Man. Like, you messed up. You stopped bringing back these old school Mega Mans that we played when we was kids. Like, produce a new Mega Man. Make a new Mega Man Legends. Something else besides that. You know what I'm saying? Like, really try to get back to what you guys were good at, man. I think the Monster Hunter series seems like a very popular series, and I think it'll go a long way. I'm excited about it. It's my first Monster Hunter that I'll be playing. And one of the reasons why I'm so excited about it is because it's really giving me a Scalebound feel, but it's really scratching that itch that I had for Scalebound, even though it's a completely different type of game. Seeing dragons or monsters in the game, and flying creatures, and being able to team up with 4 people co-op across the whole world, man, that's amazing to me, and I'm really excited about that. So I don't know, man. I really wish Capcom the best, man. I hope that they work everything out and everything works out for them, because they really need to turn this whole thing around quickly.
Yeah, I think they've been making a lot of huge mistakes lately, and I think like you said, if Monster Hunter doesn't do well for them, I don't know where they go from there. Revisiting some old franchises would be kind of smart for them. I know they were kind of releasing some games that remasters or whatever the case may be, but they definitely have to do something, because the future isn't looking bright.
Right. Not at all.
I feel like if push came to shove, if push came to shove, I think that Capcom would go the same route THQ did, where all their properties are just going to get split up. I think that's all that's going to happen. If it actually came to the worst, I don't think anyone would buy them outright anymore. They would just split up all the properties and move on.
Yeah.
Happen, because I would hate to see a legendary company like Capcom fall apart that way. One of my childhood, and seeing these guys go would just be really disappointing. I would hate to see that happen. So a few things I want to touch on real quick, some little pop shots here and there. First of all, Nioh, and I want to talk about Nioh because Nioh is coming to Windows 10. I'm mind boggled by this right now. Nioh coming to Windows 10, probably getting all the great PC 4K support, yada, yada, yada. It's surprising to me because I feel like the next option is the Xbox. I just feel like the Xbox version is coming at this point. Like, why Windows? Why Windows 10? You know what I'm saying? Not Steam or something like that, but Windows 10 or the Windows Store or whatever it's in, is my understanding. And they're coming out with like the complete edition, which drops November 7th. It's on its way to Xbox, being that it hit Windows.
It definitely is kind of. That's not concerning. It piques my interest. It is a little bit of intrigue to it. It's like, all right, because if you're even bothering with Windows 10, that means you talked to Microsoft, and Microsoft said yes.
Right.
And so maybe, I don't know, but Microsoft's a whole different beast nowadays, and they're putting stuff that's not coming to Xbox on the Windows Store, like Age of Empires. So
I don't have a problem with that.
Who knows anymore?
I know a lot of people love RTSs. I don't care. Like, I don't like RTSs. Like, I know people do. Like, I know people don't care that I don't like RTSs, and these guys love RTSs and they like it. But listen, Age of Empires was not on my list, bro. It was not something that was going to get me hyped. Like, if they announced Age of Empires at E3, I would be pissed off that they announced Age of Empires at E3. Like, that's not a big deal to me as a console gamer. That is a PC game for fans of PC. That's how I look at it. Halo Wars 2 as well. I don't care about you Halo Wars fanboys. See, I'm talking to you. I just feel like those are just PC games that they put on consoles. And Halo Wars, I'm sure, appealed to the PC, to the Xbox fan base because of the way they designed it and things like that. I get it, but it's just not my cup of tea, man. So it's just not my thing. But this Nioh game, man, I have it on PlayStation 4, and I played it a little bit. I just think that if it came to Xbox, I don't know if it would appeal to Xbox gamers. A lot of Xbox gamers want to get back into that, feel. It definitely doesn't feel as fast as Ninja Gaiden, but it does give you that Onimusha feel. It really does give you that Onimusha feel. And if you've ever played Onimusha back in the day on your PS2, you'll like Nioh. So I don't know. I just wonder, what is Microsoft doing, and why is this game on Windows 10? This is just bugging me out right now. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I just think it is a big deal.
Since you played it, I think the world needs to know: is this the Cuphead of Souls clones? We need to know.
No.
The world needs to know.
No. Don't get me wrong. I mean, listen, Nioh is a great game. At least based on what I've played, it's a great game. But I wouldn't say it's like super, super, super duper difficult. It's no harder than anything else. Like, look, Cuphead. The hardest thing for me on Cuphead, we discussed this already, was when I had to fight the plant. I don't know what it was about that flower, man, but once he shot that spore in the air and that ball kept coming down at me, and I'm like, I got to hit that thing, and he screams right when he shoots that thing. He screams, and the vines come out, which means I gotta hop on a platform which doesn't give me enough room to react to this flying thing shooting a ball at me, him shooting like little flowers out of his mouth, in those vines wrapping up 2 platforms at the same time. It was not easy, bro. But once I got rid of that thing flying around, it was a cakewalk because it obstructs your ability to jump and dash, and you lose a point if you lose a health point if you get hit. You know, you can dodge the vines, you can dodge the plants, but if that thing is in the air and you didn't kill it, it's tough. But once I knocked it out, everything else was a cakewalk. I beat every other enemy like it was no problem and went to the other level. And then I finally beat the genie today. It only took me, 15 tries? At least that's what it felt like. But, you know, at least I knocked it out today. Tomorrow I'll try the candy lady, and we'll see how it goes from there, man. But it's very intriguing with Nioh. I would love to see it on the Xbox, and I would love to see Xbox fans getting a game that isn't signed as an exclusive, but just on the PlayStation because of the base and is does well in Japan. I would be happy, at least for the Xbox fan base, to get a feel for that.
Now, speaking of something a little interesting, I know we didn't talk about this, but I feel like I need to throw this in too. So for those of you guys who are, it's October, Halloween season, little stuff like that. So some of you guys who follow Dead by Daylight on consoles, as you guys know, they have basically brought over a couple of new characters in. One of which is they brought Michael Myers over to the console version. It's the only game you can play as Michael Myers from Halloween. It's pretty fun. Dead by Daylight's a good little game. It's kind of like that. Friday the 13th game is kind of like the Friday the 13th game that came out earlier this year is really more of just a clone, a worse clone of this. If I'm being fair, but so there's a supposed announcement that might be coming out sometime soon. They've have some voice files and leaks and stuff of the next killer to be coming to Dead by Daylight, and it might be Freddy Krueger. So.
Freddy Krueger coming to your nightmares.
Yeah,
Krueger
that,
and
I think it.
What's up?
Like, was Freddy Krueger a DLC character in Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, he was.
And Leatherface, and I don't think Jason was.
No, it was Leatherface, Freddy Krueger, Predator, Alien. Yeah. Chucky in there. That would have been fire.
That would have been such a pain of the butt to balance. Just you're attacking something that comes up to your knees.
Yeah, like he's
like
super
playing
small, so all the tasks gotta be.
Oh my gosh!
It would be like when they put Yoda in the Soul Calibur and Darth Vader at the same time, and then eventually you wind up getting them as DLCs on both No, I don't know if you did that. Did they give you Darth Vader as DLC on the other console? I can't remember. It was on was it on Xbox?
Yeah, Yoda was Xbox.
And it was Xbox, and Darth Vader. Yeah, Darth Vader was on PlayStation, which
was
pretty dope.
Yeah, Link was on the GameCube version.
Yeah, Link was on GameCube. Yeah, because that's the one I remember. That's the one I remember. So
that was the one before. That was the one before that one. That one. I remember that one in particular because I bought a GameCube just to play that because I was a big Soul Calibur fan back in the day. Khalik was my dude. Khalik back in the day. Now, I probably get my ass handed to me, but back then I was a beast. But no, back in the day it was Khalik. It was Khalik. It was Zelda. It was Link on GameCube, on Xbox, and Hayachi. What's his name from Tekken? The father.
Yeah, Hayachi.
Hayachi was on PlayStation. It's a PlayStation character in Soul Calibur. And then the next version of Soul Calibur, I don't think they released a GameCube version. They just put it on PlayStation and Xbox, and you had Darth Vader and Yoda. And that was pretty dope. Yeah, man. Cool, man. I like to reminisce. Those were good times when games were good. Game back then. You know what's not doing amazing right now? Agents of Mayhem. And this is something I want to talk about. I got to talk about this because this relates to Crackdown. Mayhem sells an estimated 67,000 units the first week at retail. 67,000 units the first week at retail. Now, I'm not saying that...
Is that worldwide or just U.S.? We need to know this.
that's probably...
That's probably just U.S.
That might be U.S. stats. But even then, 1,000, that's abysmal. Even for the U.S., which is a huge market, a very huge market for a multi-plat title, that's abysmal. And I look at that, I look at those sales, and it just tells me, games like this are dead. Like that's what it tells me. That's what it tells me. It tells me that, and it makes me scared for Crackdown. Think about that.
So GTA really clones are dead.
I wouldn't say GTA because GTA doesn't.
It's just GTA clones. Like this is that whole era where, Saints Row and Crackdown. Like it was like the whole open world crime style, not style really. You know what I mean though. It's like it was the whole thing about open world causing chaos and mayhem.
No, I understand what you're saying. I don't know, man. I feel like thing. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a very game when you're playing with a bunch of people. But when you're paying $60 for that, and that's all you're getting, I don't know if ditzy, funny Mayhem games are worth $60 anymore. Like those type of games, I think should be free to play type titles with a bunch of DLC or microtransactions in it. Even though we just talked about not wanting DLC and microtransactions, that's kind of like how I feel at this point. So here we go. Okay, so it says that this is according to VG charts, and this obviously is a huge rough estimate. Not saying that this is accurate. We all know VG charts sometimes can be off by a lot, but obviously whatever they're getting number wise is pretty low. So let's just assume that these numbers are low. So according to them, it sold 67,059 units the first week at retail on consoles. First week sales can be viewed on VG Charts Global Weekly, and that was global. That's global, by the way. The breakdown by sales platform, the game sold best on PlayStation 4 with 42,000 units, which is 63%, and 24,000 units sold on the Xbox One. 24,000 units sold on Xbox One. Blown.
That's pathetic.
That is absolutely horrible. 24,000 units. I mean, it definitely shows you the difference in install base, 42 and 24. That sounds about right. That's about almost half of the install base, which makes sense. But at the same time, 24K, bro. Crackdown comes out and does like 100K, bro. That is an instant flop. We will never see a Crackdown ever again. Ever. They delayed that game. Crackdown cannot come out and be like Crackdown has to have a story mode. It has to have a mode around beating enemies.
Story mode.
It has to have a true story mode. I can't stress this enough. In order for this game to be successful, you cannot run on the same formula you had with the first Crackdown. With the success of games like Grand Theft Auto, with superhero games like Infamous, you need to have a thing where you have an open world map and you're following a certain path, a certain story. You know what I'm saying? And as you go through the course of the story, you're able to accomplish these things either individually or in co-op, playing the story mode. And in each instance, you bring a boss out. But if you just leave it open world and go by choice, and all you're doing is killing people outside of a base until the boss comes down, that is stupid. Like, nobody's going to want to play that in 2017. They heard that, and that's why they delayed the game. They had to. They had to. This game was going to flop so hard. It was going to flop. I didn't think it was. I had a lot of confidence in the game based on what I played and what I saw because of how fun it was. But just looking at Agents of Mayhem, it tells me all I need to know about what Crackdown was going to do on the Xbox. And I really hope Microsoft sees this and they figure out something. they figure out something quickly because they need to be working. They need to have a big team on this game because if they come out with a Mayhem game is not going to do well.
Yeah, I think this was just, you know, one of those classic mistakes by a developer where they feel like, you know, they can make an offshoot brand game and have some success. Seen the same thing happen with Gearbox, with them trying to make that Battleborn game. Game was horrible, flopped out the gate, went free to play. They could have just made Borderlands 3 like everybody else wanted, and they probably would have been fine. And Volition did the same thing. Everybody wanted a new Saints Row. You know what I mean? It would have been a first Saints Row for this gen. They made this Agent of Mayhem game, no multiplayer, just goofy antics. This is not what people wanted, and it flopped. So just made Saints Row. Probably would have had a better turnout. But, you know, trying to take those risks, and sometimes those risks aren't worth it. So proof is in the pudding. 67,000 K, not a good look for a game that you charge $60 for. And this is also one of those things where you got to look at the rest of the landscape, man. We've had some pretty good games come out for $30 this year. This could have been a perfect game to be $29.99 out the gate. It probably would have been,
I agree,
a better turnout for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Any thoughts? Anything on your mind, Anchor?
Oh no! I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, it's something they could do. I mean, it's one of these things where this generation in particular, too, it is very difficult to come out with a completely brand new IP and have that same success as a big AAA. Like if Crackdown came out right alongside Agent of Mayhem, Crackdown would have outsold it simply by the fact that people actually know what it is. But it sucks, but it's just one of those things, man.
No, definitely disappointing. And I know it's definitely disappointing for that studio. Like B said, man, sometimes you take a risk and you get burned, but that's just how games are. That's why. Listen, I get where Microsoft is coming from. I truly get it. You know, a lot of people want to knock the Xbox because a lot of the games are on PC. They feel like they don't have exclusives. They don't have games, which is absolutely the worst statement. They clearly have games. They clearly have, console exclusives, and they have their own IPs and things like that. But Microsoft understands. I think they get it. They get that, the games that don't do well hurt. You invest X amount of money and millions into these things, and as a company, and if you don't sell these games, that is you're not in the black, you're in the red, and that hurts. That hurts as a company. You just eat that loss. Like Quantum Break was a loss. Like I don't care what nobody says. I know people want to sugarcoat Quantum Break. Quantum Break, in my opinion, is a good game, and I haven't beaten it yet. I'm going to continue to play it. I want to wait for the Xbox One X version of it to finish it off, but we all know the game did not sell well. It didn't sell well at all. And it really hurt both Microsoft and honestly, I think it hurt their relationship with Remedy. Because Remedy wanted to make Alan Wake 2. I can't blame Phil for it because Phil wasn't in charge. I'm going to put it on Matrick. But the guys at Microsoft wanted something new. And I get that because if I was them, I would want something new too. I really can't say that I don't disagree with that, but a sure bet. A lot of people been clamoring for it and wanting it. You put that on Xbox and PC, and that's the instant sale. Quantum Break came out, and the TV shows was something that they thought was going to appeal to gamers. And with the fiasco of Xbox and TV, it just wasn't. It was like all they heard was TV once again. You know what I'm saying? So that's unfortunate for them. And I don't think we'll see another exclusive from Remedy anytime soon. Looks like they're just making multiplats going forward. They're working with PlayStation and getting their games up to stuff for what PlayStation has in the future. So I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough all around. But I get where Microsoft was coming from when it comes with services and the things that they're trying to do.
I think there's something we do need to talk about, though. The Lance Reddick conspiracy. My man Lance Reddick has been in so many games lately, but he has not announced a formal voice acting career. We need to get on this. We need to find out what's his end game. What's his plan here? This man he's Zavala in Destiny. He's the guy in what is it? I forgot what his name was. Right? Silence at Horizon Zero Dawn.
Black guy from The Wire.
Yeah, man. Lance Reddick. He's sitting back there. He's working on this voice career. He's making that money. And what he has not formally announced his intentions of being a voice character in Fallout yet. So there's a very clear problem here. We need answers, man. We need answers, Lance. I need to know.
You know what's funny about games and cartoons? Like when they this is gonna sound a little racist a little bit. But when they make like characters that are a different color, but that's a black guy. Like Piccolo in Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo was black, bro. Just by that attitude, he's black. To be honest with you, you would think Goku was black too, because he don't take care of none of his kids at all. Like he don't show up for Gohan, Goku. He don't know when they were born. None of them. But Zavala, even though he's blue, that's a black guy. Panthro, even though he's like blue, Panthro.
Everybody knew Panthro was black. Everybody knew Panthro was
funny, black. Man. I just find it so funny, dog. Like when I play Destiny and I'm talking to him, even though he's blue, I just look like, hey, that's the Black Guardian. That's how I just look at it. Man, you know what I'm saying? Not trying to make any racial thing like that. I just found it funny, and it's just funny to me. But anyway, no, but you're right. He's definitely in all types of voice acting. Listen, voice actors, they're doing their thing, man. They're getting paid, and there's a lot of what can I say? There's a lot of actors are looking into voice gaming because gaming is so big. Gaming is bigger than movies and music nowadays, especially financially. So, if you can get a piece of the pie, get your cut, man. Whether it's voice acting, player modeling, something, you got to get in to fit in.
Also, just because studios in particular, there's been a very low-key voice acting strike. So that's been going on for the last little bit. There's been a voice acting strike, and so they've been opting for more high-profile celebrity voice acting.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
That's been going on in the background. So, but yeah, it's one of those things too. It's a good time because it doesn't take that much effort as opposed to a professional acting role. So I mean, hey, forget.
Well, before we finish up and head out of here, I just want to talk about
Wolfenstein
that hit Xbox, and then we'll finish up with Wolfenstein's controversial commercial. To hit Xbox, I was streaming that the other day. If you like turn-based games, make sure you check that game out. I highly recommend it, man. If you're an old school guy like myself, or you're into RPGs, man, this game is pretty classic. Comic book style, the way they talk, real voice acting in between cutscenes, good turn-based action. The way they have the overmap set up when you're exploring is really cool, and you can swap between characters when you're kind of like exploring inside the map. So it's a pretty dope game, man. I like it a lot, and I highly recommend it for $29.99. I believe the other game that was on my mind at the time was Dragon's Dogma. Has been, I guess you could say, remastered for the Xbox One and the PS4. I didn't play Dragon's Dogma. I feel like that game should have been multi-plat because you got those, what do they call them? Peons or but the other three characters that you kind of like the pawns. There you go, the pawns. I don't know, man. I feel like those characters should be controlled by other people. This is how I feel.
I always thought it was goofy that you build them up and other people could use them. You know what I mean? Instead of it just being real players.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it just makes sense to just have real players. I just don't get it. But I mean, it is what it is. So if you like those games, look out for them, man. You can definitely check them out. Wolfenstein put out a commercial been gaining a lot of attention. Wolfenstein 2, not my America advertisement is putting out a very powerful message. And in today's climate where we have these and things like that, saying hateful things about, certain demographic of people and things like that, this message is to combat that. And do video games need to get political in today's climate where we're trying to get away from a lot of the politics of the world? Anchor, I'm going to hand this off to you because I know this is your game.
First off, this is not political. Like, Wolfenstein from the very beginning has always been about killing Nazis. How is this literally the whole point of the it's like a 15-second little commercial thing. And it was put up on Twitter, and it said, like, no more Nazis in America. It was very straightforward. It was basically just saying, like, no more Nazis. It's pretty straightforward because the whole plot of the game is there are Nazis in the United States, and you're launching a revolution to get rid of them. Like, that was the whole point. I don't see why this is necessarily a political message. Now, my poli side agrees also kind of throwing that out there at the moment. So, I mean, like, you could argue everything is political, but in this particular space, it's not like they're going out of their way to make it a political message. They can't help it that the Nazi rhetoric and stuff is popping up lately. Like, they didn't need a choice. They didn't just decide, like, hey, Wolfenstein's not about killing Nazis anymore. I don't know.
I mean, I get that. I understand where you're coming from. I don't disagree with you, but I mean, you have a game that has a focus on a country that, if World War II, didn't go in our favor, in the Allies' favor, we're all speaking German, and it's just one of those things where, in today's climate, having a message and trying to point out the facts that you're going to resist, you will continue to fight. It does have a political undertone to it. Not so much that it's forced upon them. It kind of falls in their lap based on the game itself. And for them not to say anything at all based on what it is would kind of just be surprising if they didn't say anything, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but it's not so much that the message itself is not something that they just made up. It's something that they had always intended to do. They had always said from the very beginning they wanted to go to the United States. This is back before 2014. So this is not like something completely new to them. Like, this is not like it was like, okay, we're going this route because we saw the way the United States is going politically currently. That's not what they. It's like a bunch of Polish devs. Like, they're just doing their thing. Like,
listen, everybody's
always
looking at
wanted
us.
to do that.
I hear you. I just think everybody's looking at us from the outside. Like you said, they're Polish devs. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people on the outside that have a lot to say about what's happening here in the country. So I don't disagree with that. Maybe it's a possibility that people are blowing it out of proportion more than they should. And really there's a message that isn't there. People are just trying to find a message, as sometimes that's what people do. People always look for hidden meanings and things, but there's no meaning at all. It's just an advertisement or a commercial. But and
to even emphasize even more how much of a non-message this is, the main villain of the game is a blonde-haired white woman. Like, there's no directly correlated message here to work with.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, they're not trying to be political at any means. I mean, this is what they've had set in stone for 3 or 4 plus years at this point. Kind of release this game. It just happens to happen that we have some political issues going on in America that can almost coincide with their message in the game, I guess. But in regards to your original question, like, I don't have a problem with games taking on political tones or dealing with issues that are, you know, a little bit more rough around the edges. I think that's actually good for a gamer. You know what I mean? I think it sparks more conversation around it, and it gets people talking in a positive and negative light. And I think when more people, I think when things are expressed that way, the conversations can be held more openly, and I think it just inspires, you know, more things like that, more controversial things like that to come about. So I don't have a problem with that at all.
It's almost like I gotta respect the guys over at the South Park guys. You know what I'm saying? Like they went ahead. It's funny because one of the things they did in the game for South Park was change the difficulty based on the color of your skin. So the easier it was, the lighter you are, and the harder it was, the darker you were. And the cool thing about it was that it wasn't that it was made the game difficult. It just made your, I guess, your situations in your life in the game more difficult, which I found really, really funny. So I would love to, you know, if more people took on things like that and weren't afraid to take on things like that. I know we spoke about Ubisoft and not Ubisoft. We spoke about Far Cry. We spoke about Far Cry 5 a while ago about the approach to the Midwest and, you know, using Christianity and cults and things like that, and how that can be controversial as well. But again, it always just seems like it falls back on not developers in the country making these games, but developers outside of the country making these games. And I really truly hope that if they do make these games and they do try to put political things in the games, that they understand what the message that they're trying to deliver, and not just trying to take advantage of the people in the country because of the issues that we're facing here in the States. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully all around, and you know, developers aren't afraid to attack the things that matter, because again, video games has become bigger than movies, and you can really have an impact on someone's life because of what you've put in your game. A lot of times you don't realize how impactful the dialogue or the story of a particular game may have with somebody when they're thinking logically about the choices that they've made or the dialogue in the game that they've listened to and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. I don't know how it will affect people, but I can tell you what, it's made me, playing video games has made me more morally aware.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it made me more morally aware, and it's made me more aware in the words that I use, in the way that I speak to different people before opening my mouth and saying something stupid. So I think that's one of the things that I can definitely, and besides hand-eye coordination, because I'm nasty with the hands and I'm ill with the car when I'm driving, because my reaction time is just crazy when I'm in the car driving. You know what I'm saying? So that's the one thing I can say video games has really done for me. It keeps my mind moving, keeps my mind healthy, which is a good thing.
But keep in mind too, like if you're Bethesda or Machine Games, you couldn't dream this kind of publicity. This is great. This is like GTA levels of publicity. Like people ask you to ban video games, kind of big. Like just because your game's coming out. Like, this is. I don't think they were initially planning for this to happen, but still, like this is great publicity because now people are talking about the game in a crowded October lineup. So
right. Well, that's it. It looks like B. You got anything to say before we head out of here?
No, I just I know Phil was in Tokyo not too long ago, and you know, they had brought some. We got a couple announcements about some Japanese games coming to Xbox at E3. What do you guys are there any games that you guys are hoping for that we could see sometime next year or in the future from some Japanese devs?
I did see him talking to, I don't know if he's the developer or the ex-developer of Tekken, as well as a few other games. I remember seeing that and him saying, I can't, you know, I'm going to catch up with you and meet you and everything like that. I'm excited Phil is in Japan. He needs to be in Japan. I mean, I hate to keep bringing up our interview with him, but man, you remember the last time we spoke to him? He talked about bringing Jeff to go, bro. That's like forever, man. He's just now going there. It's like 3 years too late at this point. But with the Xbox One X, I honestly think they look at this not as a new console, absolutely as a mid-gen console, but a new opportunity to capture a new audience with all that power. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this is powerful as PC. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's definitely a rebranding for them. They already discontinued the Xbox One, the original. You only see Xbox One S's in the wild and Xbox One X's in the wild. And, PlayStation and Xbox One X and the Pro will be out for 2 or 3 years before we see the next PlayStation. And then probably a year after that, we'll get the next Xbox. But Microsoft has an opportunity. I said this before. They got great reviews with Cuphead, great reviews with Forza. And now they have an opportunity to take that momentum. If they can get a solid review with Super Lucky Tale and any other games they got coming out towards the end of the year, and it does extremely well, they have a great opportunity to go into 2018 with a lot of momentum. And with the console out and all these games being enhanced and all that stuff, you have a lot of people going back to play games that they either stop playing or going to purchase because it's cheaper to see what the games look like and how improved they looked over what they used to look like on the original Xbox. So Microsoft has momentum in their favor, man. They just can't. It's funny because it's almost like when women say, if you go on a date with a guy, just don't say anything stupid. Saying like Microsoft, just don't say anything stupid. You know what I'm saying? Just don't put anything out there. Don't go back on anything you said. We don't want to hear PR saying, oh, this is what this person meant, or this is what this person said, because we know they have communication issues. So if they can just keep on the path that they're on, or games, have a great E3 in 2018, because we already know what's coming out early next year, and all the games they release do well and review well, I think they'll have the momentum in 2018 and could have a big year in 2018. So we'll see what happens with that. But listen, that's the end of the show. Do you guys want to do a Q&A? I know it's kind of late. We could do 10 minutes. I didn't get a chance to do a Q&A with any of the fans over the last couple of weeks. So listen, we're here, man. If you guys want to ask us a few questions, we are always down to answer a few questions for you guys out there. So go ahead, start putting your questions in the chat. I want to thank everybody for stopping out tonight. It's greatly appreciated. Make sure you check out ticgn.com. You go out and support the website, man. That is our bread and butter. These guys over there at the website work extremely hard for you. We actually are in the process of reviewing Forza Motorsport 7 and on our way to reviewing Cuphead as well. So keep an eye out for those reviews. Make sure that you guys check out the website because, again, these guys work extremely hard for you, getting news and content and opinions and, reviews and stuff like that, things that people really want to know about. So we're greatly appreciative of all the support. Make sure you check out our Discord, which I will leave in the chat, in the description below. We are building a TIC Discord, so you can hop in there and chat with the TIC team as well as other gamers, and hopefully we'll start doing that after the show. So if you want to continue conversation with us, you can continue conversation with us after the show in Discord. Offshore, that you guys keep an eye out for next week's Super Pod Shots. If you didn't get a chance to hear yesterday's Super Pod Shots, I did it a little bit differently. I'm working on a new platform that allows me to do call-in shows. So if you guys have something to say, if you guys want to ask a question, if you guys want to give your opinion during the Super Pod Shot show, you can call in and we can have a conversation live on air, and you can be on the show. And I plan to try to do some giveaways with that and everything like that. Now that show is not on YouTube. That show is on a different platform. So make sure you go over to the Super Pod Shots and check it out. Everything is in the description below in that section. So you can go ahead and sign up over there or join that and link up over there. And again, make sure you tune in tomorrow for podcast at 11 a.m. I got to make sure I get that right. At 11 a.m. before football start for the Iron Lords team to hang out with those guys in the morning, Sunday morning before football start to begins, and get your morning fix of video game news and content. So listen, man, that's it this week for this show. You can check Anchorman the Multiverse on Mondays at 8 p.m. Don't forget to check out Fame Entertainment's channel for 2XP Podcast, our debate show. And again, it's on Fridays at 11 p.m. on a late night. And of course, Tick Podcast Saturdays at 10. And you can catch all of this content on iTunes and Google. Make sure you support there as well. Give us a rating. Be greatly appreciated. So that's it for our show. I'm your host, Kelwar SKL, the last son of Planet Xbox, with B Money 101 and Anchorman V, and we are off this planet. Peace. All right. Listen, man, I want to thank everybody for stopping out and stuff like that, man. I really appreciate it. Last Side Ninja says, Microsoft don't let Shannon Loftus speak. You're right, bro, because I've been trying to get her on the show forever. Trust me, these guys know. I've been sending them. I be showing them the conversations we be having, and it'd be like, yeah, we're gonna get it done, and then nothing. It's like I can't get them on the show. I even had a conversation with Craig Duncan recently, and his plate has been full. They're actually heading to Brazil now to do some type of Xbox Brazil event and showing off Sea of Thieves. So I don't know, whenever he gets back, I'll be able to get him on the show. But he told me he would definitely fit me in, and I can't wait to get him on the show to talk about Rare and Sea of Thieves. We'll talk about Rare and some of the games they have, and could we expect to see some of those things. So that would be exciting as well. Edge XL says TICGN.com is bringing you a horror review every midnight in October. So make sure you check out TICGN.com to check out the latest in horror. These guys do this every year. Built the site since 2015. This is like incredible. My hat goes off to Chico and the TICGN team, man. Incredible team. D21 exclusive asks, you guys was talking about game sales of Agents of Mayhem, but don't game sales usually suffer when new consoles come out? This is a reason why I don't think mid-gen upgrades will work.
Sorta. I mean, when new consoles come out, sure, because people are like, hey, yeah, I'm going to wait on that. I'll wait for the next gen system, but that's more in terms of the immediate month before. Normally you see a slump happen in October when the consoles are going to launch in November. But again, you look at some games and some games completely buck the trend, like GTA 5. GTA 5 sold a ton of copies initially on the 360 and PS3, and then whenever they announced it the next year to come out on those new systems, it sold even more, but it didn't really affect its initial sales anyway. But yeah, it does affect it in the short term, but in the long term, not particularly. There's going to be a small section of people who are going to hold out, clearly, but again, it also doesn't really apply to this particular situation, because this is not really a new console in terms of a next generation console. You might see some sales be stunted a little bit initially, but after that, it shouldn't affect anything, because it's not like it's a new platform.
Right.
Where the people who are going to buy this new platform don't have access to those old games.
Right. I mean, that's where I think there's a difference. Normally when you buy a new platform, that there's no install base on that platform. So if a game comes out on it, normally the sales are pretty low. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're knocking it out the park very early on. It isn't until you get a year or two in that the sales really start to pick up, because now you have an install base to work with. I think you already have an install base with PlayStation and Xbox already. So the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One X, people waiting for those consoles will deter people from picking up games already, especially Agents of Mayhem, which really hasn't been a game that was noticed, that was meant to be enhanced. For me, I'm not picking up Assassin's Creed and Shadow of War the day they release, because I'm going to wait for the Xbox One X to come out so I can pick them both up. And hopefully there's some sort of bundled system where I can pick both games up at buy two, get one free or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, yeah, that's when I plan to get them. It makes no sense for me to get them now because I'm not going to play them now. I want to play them in their best form. So I'm going to wait for the Xbox One X. So in that regard, yeah, because I know there's X enhancements for those games. But Agents of Mayhem just flopped, I think, just because it's Agents of Mayhem. Like I just truly think that's the reason why it flopped, and that's just really unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the Agents of Mayhem situation, what other new IP has come out and like made an impact? You know what I mean?
Right.
This entire generation. So I think that probably the only game that had at least some rumblings of an impact was like Hellblade when that came out. A lot of people were playing that. It sold pretty well. You know what I mean? Did wonders for that company, for Ninja Theory. But other than that, I mean, what other new IP was like smacked it out of the park? So
Titanfall?
Yeah. Titanfall 2 or Titanfall 1?
No, Titanfall 1. That was a brand new IP, came out. Everyone was geeking out about it real hard. Sold a ton of copies on the PC and Xbox.
Yeah.
It didn't last, but it did sell really well.
It did great. It's hard, man. New IPs are hard. This is why people continue to do sequels, because new IPs are hard to sell.
Overwatch?
They really are. And when you, I mean, again, I'm not saying I'm just saying new IPs are hard to sell.
Yes, what other ones? I'm answering. But it's those particular instances, it's really hard to find a breakout for like a brand new studio or a studio that doesn't have that hit. Yeah. But like all the new IPs that are doing well have these well-established teams behind them. Like you got Blizzard behind Overwatch. You had Bungie and Activision behind Destiny. You had Respawn, which is basically Infinity Ward, behind Titanfall. You had EA behind them as well. So you had this big push for these big games to come out. But yeah, Hellblade did really well for having minimal to no support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Chief, shout out to Chief Tommy, man. Chief is a big supporter of the podcast, and we greatly appreciate his support. Are you guys playing Star Wars Battlefront 2?
No.
No, I downloaded the demo. I haven't actually played it yet. I do have some interest in it though. I think the game looks amazing graphically, and I think they added just enough to at least get my attention. So I'll check out the demo and see if it's worth the pickup.
I downloaded the demo as well. I have not played it yet, but I plan to buy it just for the single player campaign alone. I every time I look at the little cutscenes or the little stories of the campaign, I just get hooked and intrigued. I just got to play this game. I have to, because I'm a big Star Wars fanboy. Star Wars over Star Trek any day. That's just me. I love the space opera over the space exploration. So that's just the type of space guy I am. That's probably why I like Mass Effect so much. Last Side Ninja. Go ahead. What you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say I have minimal to no interest in Star Wars Battlefront 2. I used to really like Star Wars Battlefront 2 that came out back in the day, but this particular one I am not a real fan of. There's no real reason behind it, but I don't care if it has a story. It's Star Wars.
So
Star Wars is overrated as hell.
What?
Star Wars isn't even that good.
Star Wars is better than any franchise you've ever played.
The best Star Wars movie is Empire Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi is pretty good as well as New Hope. But then after that, all of it's garbage. The whole franchise.
Oh, God, this blasphemy is just out of control. I can't even take it. That radio show so I can mute people. This doesn't make any sense. What
it's all
garbage,
talking
man. About right now?
It's all a waste of time.
God.
Oh man!
All right,
Star Trek's where it's at, man. Picard could kick any Jedi's ass.
Oh my God! You see this? Jesus! All right, listen. Let's move forward because you're gonna get me started. Last Side Ninja asks, Tick Panel, what do you think about the new sign games that Phil Spencer mentioned? Was it just PR talk? Now, I'm not gonna sit up here and say Microsoft isn't good at PR talk. I've learned over the years that they're really good at PR talk. But I think that they do have some things in the works. I've heard about this and known about this for some time. They have a couple of games in production, a couple of new IPs, nothing that we've seen or heard about. I was hoping that they would show some stuff off at Gamescom, but they didn't. And I don't know why I expected them to. But, listen, man, we'll see what happens with Microsoft because, again, a lot of people keep getting on them about them not having any new games. I literally just watched someone put out an article today about how Microsoft is investing all this money into a console but not games. How do you know they're not? Just because 2017, was a terrible and down year for them does not mean they're not investing in new games. They have a new console, and because they have a new console, it has gave them a new surplus of funds to invest into new IP. And those new IPs are supposed to be releasing over the next year to 2-3 years. So we'll see probably new IPs from next year, 2018, 2019, and probably 2020 going forward, along with a few sequels. You could, sprinkle a little Forza in there, a little Halo, a little Gears, some indie games. I'm telling you, 2018 by itself looks amazing. All the indie games coming out, some of the Japanese games they got releasing. Having Monster Hunter on Xbox alone to me is big. So I'm excited, man. I don't know what people are looking for, but Microsoft definitely is trying to deliver some really great. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's really hard to say exactly right now. I mean, clearly they signed games. Clearly there's stuff in the works. Now, whether it's ready or coming anytime soon, we don't know. But that's kind of it, really.
I mean, yeah, I think they definitely signed games. For me, it's just a wait and see approach. You know what I mean? We know the direction that Microsoft's going with the games as a service. So it just depends on, if those games are going to actually appeal to me at the end of the day. But I think they definitely signed games. I think it was kind of weird for Phil to just come out and say that they'd be 2 or 3 years away. You know what I mean? I don't know if I would have necessarily said that directly, but, it is what it is. We'll get them when they're ready. And we just gotta, wait and see.
Gotta wait and see. Zedpo1 says publisher and developer should put their games on a rental service like Game Pass or PS Now 2 weeks after the game launch.
What?
Unless you don't want these people to make money.
Yeah, that's too quick. Too quick.
Unless you want
that's a little quick, man.
Everybody would just wait at that point.
That's a bit too edgy for me, bro.
These studios would be bankrupt in I don't know how fast. These studios would be out of business, bro. There's no way they could do that. There would be no money in it for them.
The only way you could get by with it is if the publisher had their own individual streaming service and they were charging you $30 a month.
Right, like EA Access. Like EA Access, basically. But even then, with EA Access, it's a great service, in my opinion. You still have to wait almost 6 months out, almost 6 to 7 months out before you get that title. You know what I'm saying? I mean, 2 weeks, that's insane. Nobody would buy games if that was the case. Everybody would just buy the service and wait. Yeah, you just be wasting your money. $60 go down the drain left and right. And you got to think that is owned by Xbox and PlayStation, meaning that they're going to get a cut, like a huge percentage of that because it's their service. You know what I'm saying? And Microsoft is only going to pay so much for a brand new title. Like $60, you know how much money Microsoft would have to pay that studio to get it on that service 2 weeks after it releases? That'd be crazy. TF God says Destiny is a new IP, and that's been successful.
It is.
Yeah.
I like the question that Mr. Gaming Addict asked. I like that question.
We'll get to that in a second. He says Battlefront 2 looks amazing, but it's astoundingly boring. I haven't played it, so I can't judge it just yet. Gaming Addict says, when is B Money getting Destiny 2 on Xbox?
Hey man, it's coming. It's coming. I might,
inquiring minds need to know.
I might go ahead and pick it up this upcoming weekend, man. My gaming time is limited, but I'm definitely coming, man. I'm definitely coming.
That's
they just converted BRAP. They just converted to Rike. Man. So I mean, hey, you're on the Xbox podcast. What's wrong with you?
That's just funny.
I ain't want to be I ain't want to get played a second time, man. I ain't waiting 2 years again to get the extra content, man.
That's too funny. TF God says, I still can't believe they did the Death Star for the third time in Force Awakens. Like, seriously? Oh, man, listen.
The fans have spoken, man. Fans have spoken. Star Wars is trash.
I can't disagree with that notion, because even when in Force Awakens, when I found out that they basically made the planet a Death Star, I was flabbergasted as well. I'm like, if it didn't work the first 2 times, why would it work a third time? It doesn't just.
But it's bigger this time.
Oh my God! Like, who is the architect? Is this like a generational thing? Fire that whole bloodline. Like, just get rid of that bloodline, because they are poor architects when it comes to this, man. Figure it out.
Whoa, man. That's you're treading in Wolfenstein territory right there. Get rid of bloodlines.
Bro, you got to get rid of that bloodline, bro. That bloodline is a disaster for the Empire. It's forcing them to lose wars. They can't get a foothold on anything fielding Death Stars as the ultimate weapon. That is just not working.
I swear, if they tease another Star Killer base at the end of this new movie.
I don't know. I have no idea. But listen, I love the Star Wars universe because of the Skywalker universe and some of the lore. If you've watched some of the animated series like Clone Wars and Rebels, they're really, really good. Like, even for kids shows, they're really, really good. Like, you have to sit there and actually watch them. I know as an adult. So I know as an adult saying, hey, watch a Disney show is kind of a push. But that's kind of how I felt when I first saw Avatar. I was like, Avatar's on Nickelodeon? I would be dead caught watching that. Next day, I'm watching it. Then I'm on Nickelodeon every week. I refuse to miss an episode of Avatar for every book. Avatar was absolutely one of the most, this is the Airbender, by the way. Avatar: The Last Airbender was probably one of the most amazing series I've ever seen as a Nickelodeon show. But the artwork and the fighting was so amazing and so well choreographed. I was stunned. So, and what's the name? They do a great job of explaining Star Wars lore. They really do. They do a great job of it, man. And the books are the history of Star Wars is great. I don't care what nobody says. Now, there's new emo Star Wars and Awakens and all that. I agree. It's kind of getting out of hand a little bit here and there. But man, Wars trilogy was amazing to me. That Skywalker trilogy, whew, nothing like it.
Man.
Oh man.
I don't even know what to tell you, man. The only good Star Wars TV show was the hand-drawn cartoon Clone Wars miniseries. That's it.
I don't know.
Everything else is garbage.
I don't know. I have to disagree with that. All right, so before we get out of here, we'll finish up. Gaming Addict has one last question. Do you think Microsoft should make Cuphead into a mascot?
Yes. Well, maybe not for Microsoft. I don't care. But he needs to be a mascot. Cuphead needs to be in Smash. I need him in Smash Bros. I need it.
He definitely should.
Perfect.
They need a Smash Bros. I said this on the last show. They need a Smash Bros. Cuphead, Ori, Mugman. You could take Super Lucky Tail. You could take some of the rare guys like Banjo and Conker. Bro, you would have an amazing Smash Bros.
Dude, put Chief in there. Like, put Voodoo Vince in there.
No.
Blinks not the cat. Oh, come on.
Not Voodoo Vince. I refuse.
That's almost like Vince.
I refuse. I hate Voodoo Vince. I hate everything about Voodoo Vince. I really do.
How dare you? How dare you call yourself the last son of Planet Xbox, my friend? How dare you? That's Phil Spencer's favorite game. How dare you?
And if I ever see him, I'm going to let him know. I think he was wrong for forcing them to put that game on the Xbox. Forced them to put that game. Nobody wanted Voodoo Vince. I don't care what anybody says. There is not one Xbox fan who asked for Voodoo Vince. There were people who asked for Blinks the Cat.
But you know what everyone else asking for?
Anymore. What?
You know what everyone else was asking for, though?
Oh, boy. Here we go. Fusion Frenzy.
Fusion Frenzy.
Just inevitable. I knew it was gonna be Fusion Frenzy. No, listen, Voodoo Vince gotta go. Shout out to Phil Spencer. That's my man and all, but no, not Voodoo Vince. I get it. It's nostalgia for him and his daughter. They grew up playing the game together. Nah, Voodoo Vince gotta go. You could put everybody else on there though. I think that'd be pretty cool if they worked it out that way. But they definitely need some type of Smash Bros type game, some type of brawler. You already have PlayStation has PlayStation All-Stars. Nintendo has the original with Super Smash Bros. Microsoft needs some sort of mascot brawler. They have the mascots. A lot of people underestimate Microsoft's IPs. They got a ton of them on the low. People just don't know about them because Microsoft won't make new versions of them. I wish they would, but they just don't. So hopefully we'll see what happens in the future, man. I think it would be dope if they were able to.
And keep in mind, they can license characters too. If PlayStation All-Stars could cheat and put a Big Daddy from BioShock in PlayStation All-Stars, they can get any other character they want in the Microsoft version. It doesn't matter. They can put Sonic the Hedgehog and Pac-Man and Mega Man and Smash Bros. They can put this in there too. It's not that hard.
Yeah, I hear you. So listen, man, that's it for this week's show. I want to thank everybody for stopping out, everybody who asked questions. I truly and greatly appreciate your support. Make sure you go out tomorrow and support the ILP Iron Lord podcast. These guys wake up early in the morning and work very hard to get out great news and have a great comedy bit for you guys. I won't say comedy bit. Let me not say that, but these guys are hilarious. They crack me up when I listen to this show. Make sure you check them out. Very energetic group, man. Love those guys over there at the Iron Lord podcast. And make sure you support all of TIC Network, including TICGN. And you can make sure that you can find all of our MP3s. If you miss a show on YouTube, you can always catch us on iTunes, Google Play, the Stitcher app, or Podbean. And you can catch all our content via MP3 and listen to us on your way to work, on your way to school, or at home or in the background where you're playing games. And that's the great thing about TIC Podcast. We will always be there for the Xbox fans. So I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And we're out of here. SKL, the last son of Planet Xbox. We're Anchorman V and B Money 101. And we're off this planet. You guys have a great night. Peace.